Welcome to another episode of Cooking with Science. I am your host, Tanya, and I am here in Howard Community College in the beautiful city of Columbia, Maryland, with three fabulous guests who are going to walk us through a culinary experience using ancient grains. Chef Eric, he is with Howard Community College. Tell us a bit about yourself.
Well, I'm a classically trained chef, and I'm now in charge of the culinary program here at Howard Community College. And one of our goals is to meet our students where they are and get them into that dream culinary job.
Oh, that is awesome. And from the U.S. Department of Agriculture, Agricultural Research Service, we have Sean and David. Tell us a little bit about your work.
Hi, my name is Sean Liu. I'm working for the USDA Agricultural Research Service in Peoria, Illinois. My work is focused on the post-harvesting of grains.
Excellent. And David?
I'm David Baer from Beltsville, Maryland, and some of my research focuses on the health benefits of whole grains.
All right, well, we are in for a real treat. So is everyone ready to get started?
Yeah,
Ready.
Let's go. So we're here with Chef Eric, and he is going to walk us through a classic favorite of chicken and waffles, but with a twist using sorghum, correct?
Absolutely.
Awesome. So what are we doing first here?
So we're creating a garnish. We're going to use compound butter. So we're going to make a sorghum molasses pecan butter.
Ooh, that sounds delicious.
First thing we'll do is put the butter into the mixer.
All righty, we got that butter in there.
And we're going to start breaking up the butter and mixing it in. The next part is I'm going to take the sorghum molasses, which is right here.
Sorghum molasses. Tell us a little bit, Sean, what is sorghum? And is that something that we can just find anywhere?
Well, sorghum is a cereal grain just like corn, wheat, and rice. It has been cultivated 1,000 years ago, and it's grown all over the world.
Oh.
Well, you can find sorghum products in many grocery stores. If you can't find it, you can always find it online.
Oh, excellent. So what are you doing here now, Chef?
So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to toast the pecan.
Okay.
So that's going to create a better flavor for your nut. It's going to be not as rich or like nutty.
Okay.
And what we do is just put this and we're going to put it in an oven at 350 degrees
Alrighty.
for about 6-7 minutes.
Excellent.
And we have a set that we already did. And as you can see, they're a little darker.
Oh, and they smell delicious.
And then, so I'm going to chop these up, and then this is unsalted butter. So we're going to want to put a little pinch of salt in there to give you a better flavor.
That enough?
Perfect.
Okay, wonderful.
And
Chef.
so at this point we have our butter done. We're going to turn it off, and we're going to want to fold in our pecans, because if we put our pecans in with this, it's going to break them up to a point where you really don't have it's going to be more of a nut flour than a nice crunch that you're going to have in your dish.
So what is the flavor profile of sorghum? I mean, is it going to be different from, say, a honey?
It is. It has a slight bitterness on the aftertaste. So Some people like it. Some people are not necessarily huge fans.
Okay.
But if you use it in moderation, it gives you a nice, really, I find it rich. And it's also a really cool crop that we're producing here that's underappreciated and underutilized.
And so is this gluten-free? Is this sorghum gluten-free?
Yeah, this one will definitely, the molasses
Okay.
for sure, and the sorghum is a gluten-free product. So one of the things you can do is just roll this up, and then when we need it, you can cut slices. So if you wanted to do this, you're having a dinner party, you can make this ahead. If you want a week ahead, just put it in a Ziploc, put it in the fridge.
Okay.
Or if you want to hold it for about a month, just put it in the freezer. And so this, you can have this ahead, and then when it comes time, slice and you're ready to serve.
Wonderful. So I can make waffles anytime and just chop up that butter and throw it right on top.
Absolutely.
Wonderful. I love that. Okay, so what's the next step, Chef?
So we're going to make another condiment for our chicken and waffles to
Okay.
really elevate that and make it very special. So we're going to make a hot honey. So we have some chili flakes, and we also have some honey. What we're going to do is put the honey in, and you can adjust however you want. If you want more or less heat, just put more or less flakes. The other thing you can do is, let them sit longer.
Okay.
So we're going to just add the chili flakes.
Oh, that's a lot of chili flakes there.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, wow, that's going to be hot.
So we're going to take to that, and then we're going to boil that. We have one that we just boiled.
Alrighty.
And what we're going to do is just take that, and we're going to strain it out.
Beautiful. Hot honey. You know, I've been called that a few times in my life, Chef. So, can you tell us a little bit about sorghum and where it comes from?
It is widely grown in Africa and South Asia as the staple food.
Okay.
But in the United States, we also grow a lot of sorghums. Sorghum is drought resistant, and unfortunately, the primary uses for sorghum in the United States is animal feed and biofuel.
Okay, so it's mainly used for animal feed, but we need to start bringing it more into the consumer realm to get those benefits.
Exactly.
Oh, wonderful. And David, what are some of those benefits?
Well, sorghum as a cereal grain, and depending on how we process it and use it, it can provide some dietary fiber, it can provide vitamins and minerals, and some complex and healthier carbohydrates.
Oh, wonderful. So mixed with the benefits of honey, we've got something wholesome and good cooking up here, Chef.
It's gonna be delicious.
All right. Okay, Chef, now you're gonna brine this chicken. What is involved in brining?
So what we're gonna do is take a little bit of sugar and a little bit of salt, and what we're gonna do is put the chicken in it for a short period of time in a liquid. And what that's gonna do is enhance the flavor. So in a marinade, it has three functions. It adds moisture, it adds flavor, and it tenderizes. Now, the first thing we're gonna do is put basically like pickle spices here.
Okay.
Allspice stuff you'll see in the dill pickle. We're gonna put the salt that we had in, the sugar, and then from there, a little more sugar. We're going to take our water, pour the water in.
Now, you're just using water. Usually when I brine something, I use a little bit of acid, like a vinegar or something, but you're not using that.
Absolutely. So the vinegar would give it the sourness to counteract with the sugar that we put in there.
Okay.
But what we're going to do is a very short brine, and then we're going to take it and put it in buttermilk. And buttermilk will act as the acid that tenderizes and also flavors. Okay. And it also creates the batter that we create when we dredge. Okay. So we're going to break down the chicken.
And we're breaking down this chicken into how many parts?
So it's a classic 8 pieces. We're going to take the legs off. So as you see here, once we do the leg here, you put your thumb right here on the joint, and we're going to scoop the oyster. And that will allow us to just pop the chicken right off. And then take the knife, go through. And here, I'll show you a little trick. Once we have the chicken, if you look right here, there's a fat line. You just put right in front of that fat line, or just right on that fat line, and you won't cut the bone. You're gonna cut right through, and you're gonna have perfect 2 pieces. So you have your thigh and your leg.
Oh, wonderful.
And then do the same thing on the other side.
And the alternative to this, Chef, is to
You can absolutely buy it.
pieces.
You can buy pieces, but honestly, like in the restaurant, we love having the ability to, we're going to have the carcass at the end for stock. The other thing is per pound, our cost is much lower.
Okay, that's understandable.
And here in Maryland, it's one of our major farm products is chicken. So given a choice here, I have a choice. I can either cut through and keep it on the bone, but since we're doing more of a plated deal, we're going to take it off the bone. So what we're going to do is cut right down. You'll see a line. I'm going to hit the wishbone. I can see here, if I wanted to, I could cut straight through here and just take it off, and it would be what you'd consider like classic chicken. For what I'm doing here, I want to keep it off the bone. So I'm just going to go down here, follow the wishbone. It's going to go right between the wing parts and where it attaches the wishbone. I have now my 2 pieces here. So to get my wing, I'm going to take my knife, you can see here, and then just tuck it underneath the wing, and then just cut straight off. So now I have my wing, my breast, and then we're going to do the other side just the same. So just slide it over here.
You make it look easy, Chef. This is for the average consumer. Can we do this?
Absolutely. After 3 or 4, they'll look better. As I tell my students,
until then we hack up the chicken.
Well, I mean, it's still edible. And then we'll cut right here. And then this, one of the advantages we have is this carcass here can go in. I can make a nice chicken stock if I want to have soup later. And then again, back over here, cut my.
And how long do we soak it in this brine?
About 5 hours.
Okay.
Any longer, and you're going to start to pickle the chicken too much, and it's not going to be a nice product.
And when you say not a nice product?
Sour, chewy. It's just not going to be as good as we would like.
Okay, understood.
So right here, Tanya, we have some chicken that we let go for about 5 hours.
Okay.
And so what we're going to do is transfer that into, as we were talking about the buttermilk, you asked about the acid.
Yes.
So we're just going to take those pieces in, shake off all the excess liquid because we don't necessarily want that. And then what we're going to do is we're going to put buttermilk on it, and we're going to let that go overnight.
Okay.
And that's going to tenderize it because of the acids. And it's also going to give us the moisture we need to flavor and also to bind our dredge that we're going to do in just one moment.
Excellent.
So we have some that we made up here. And so I want you to make it. So we have sorghum flour.
Oh, sorghum flour. Now that's different. Generally, we're used to using regular flour.
Absolutely. And we have a Creole seasoning.
And Creole seasoning. What is in this seasoning?
A mixture of paprika, hot pepper, thyme, oregano, a little bit of everything, I think.
Okay.
And then we'll put a little bit of salt. You can put a little more.
Oh.
Excellent. And then stir that in.
All righty. So, David, tell us a little bit about sorghum flour. This is unusual.
Well, sorghum flour comes from part of that seed we've been talking about. The sorghum seeds have three main parts: the bran, which is the outer part, the endosperm, which is that white part where the flour comes from, and then the germ. So the sorghum flour, we've taken off the bran and the germ, and we've milled it to make a powder.
Okay.
That's sorghum flour, just like the same thing we would do with wheat to make all-purpose flour.
What is the flavor profile? I mean, this is totally different. You know, you're messing with a classic here. So are we going to taste anything different?
It might be a little bit more nutty than, say, refined wheat.
Okay. What alternatives to this sorghum flour can someone use in case, you know, it's just not their flavor profile?
Well, you can use a number of options. One is the cornmeal and the breadcrumb, as well as the flours of the other grains will be the good substitutes.
Wonderful. So we're making something that's a little bit more nutrient-based than just regular flour. Exactly. And it's also gluten-free.
It is gluten-free. Gluten is a type of protein that we find in several of the cereal seeds. Rye, barley, and wheat all contain gluten. The other cereal seeds contain proteins as well, but they're proteins that people don't have a reaction to. So some people are sensitive to gluten. It can cause some serious diseases.
Yes.
So these are some of these cereal seeds are alternatives for people who can't consume gluten.
Excellent. So that they can still get that nice fry crunch and not have to worry about any side effects.
Absolutely.
Oh, great. So, Chef, what are we doing here?
So one of the things that we talked to our chef, that's our chair of the department, his grandmother used to say, the longer it dries, the better it fries.
Ah.
So one of the things is after we've taken from you can see the difference between the two.
You can.
So as this is hydrated with the buttermilk and the chicken, it's adhering to the chicken more effectively. If we took this to into the fryer right now, what's going to happen is all that beautiful crust we made is just going to fall off. And you're going to have this sad, rubbery piece of skin, not that crispy piece of skin you really want.
Yes. So that sounds very familiar in my kitchen, yes.
So let it sit for at least an hour.
Okay. At least an hour. Should it be refrigerated?
Actually, no.
Really?
So you have 4 hours, according to the health department.
Okay.
So we'll take it up to 2 hours because one of the things that happens is that we go into the hot oil, it doesn't shock it as much, so not as much moisture is forced out. So if you want to get that really juicy, 2 hours, I'll even go 3 hours at home to make sure.
Really? Okay, so that gives you that nice, crispy, juicy piece of chicken that you want.
Absolutely.
All right.
So we're going to take this over the fryer and okay, so Tanya, we're going to move on to the waffle.
Oh, wonderful. We're moving on to the waffle with a twist.
Absolutely.
And what's the twist?
We're using sorghum flour.
Oh, okay. Now you're going to walk me through because you're taking me off center.
What you're going to do is you're going to add both the eggs into the milk.
Both eggs into the milk, okay.
The egg yolks.
There you go.
And then your vanilla.
A little bit of vanilla.
You can add your yeast.
Now yeast, that's something different. I've never used yeast in just a homemade waffle mix. Why is that?
Well, this is more of a classic waffle that you would see in an older time period before they started inventing the chemical risers such as baking soda, baking powder. We're going to put a little bit of sorghum in here for food for the yeast. And then the next part, we're going to add some sorghum molasses.
Sorghum molasses, that will be delicious, and I smell it even from here. It is wonderful.
And so we put the sorghum molasses, and normally you could put either honey, maple syrup as a change up if that's what you want to use.
Okay.
And then go ahead and mix that up.
Alrighty.
And then our next step, as soon as we get that fully incorporated, we're going to add our sorghum flour.
Sorghum flour, our nutritious sorghum flour.
And one of the things that you'll do is as the yeast starts to reactivate, because it's an instant dried yeast, it will foam.
Okay.
And so you could test this by having put some of the flour in the molasses, set it in a warm spot. If you're not sure if your yeast is alive, you'll see it start to bubble up.
Okay.
And at that point, you know they're alive, they're well. So from this point on, we're going to go ahead and put the flour in. You can go ahead and mix it in.
Whisking.
Yep, and we're going to get that in. And it doesn't have to be perfectly whisked. It doesn't have to be like, it'll be teeny lumps, but we found that sorghum actually doesn't give us too many trouble with creating the.
Okay, and what is this you're adding?
Just a little bit of salt for flavor.
Okay.
Because this is a savory waffle.
Ah.
Now, the last part we're going to move into is we actually have our melted butter. And so part of that is going to be to give richness into the waffle, but it also helps with the non-sticking. So as this hits, it's going to get hard because it's cold.
Okay.
And so at that point, it's going to firm back up, and you're going to see it where
I see. Oh,
it's
wow.
not going to be
Look at
perfect,
that.
and it's going to thicken it up.
Okay.
And that's fine. So if you have little pieces of butter floating around, it's not a big deal.
Okay. Wonderful.
And then I'll take this and let it rest overnight.
Overnight? Why does it rest overnight?
Well, I'm going to put it in the fridge.
Okay.
And let that yeast start to activate, and that's going to give it a better flavor. It's going to give that bread yeast flavor.
Okay, so that's something that someone can just do at night and put it in the refrigerator, wake up for a nice, quick, easy waffle in the morning before they send the kids off to school.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And right here, we're going to whip the egg whites that we had separated.
Okay. Okay, so what type of alternative grains can be used in a recipe like this?
Well, there are several options. For instance, if you're interested in the ancient grains, you can try the quinoa, teff, and the millet, and the others.
Oh, excellent. And what type of flavor profile would you say they have? Say, for example, quinoa or teff.
So some of the ancient grains can have a little bit of a nutty or chocolate flavor profile.
Ooh, I like chocolate, and I like it in my waffles. So what's next, Chef?
So we have some that we made up earlier and went overnight.
Okay.
We've whipped our egg whites to a soft peak.
Okay.
And since this is gluten-free, we need the protein to help hold it together and bind and hold our moisture.
Okay.
So we're just going to take that and then fold them in.
And what is the science behind using those egg whites and folding it into, especially when using this type of grain?
Well, as Chef Eric said, the sorghum flour is gluten-free. Gluten is a set of proteins, and one of the things it does in things like wheat, when we're making bread, it gives structure. It helps give structure to the bread. So when we don't have that type of a protein in something like sorghum, because it's gluten-free, we can use a different sort of protein, like the egg whites, to give that structure.
Okay, understood. So it's going to stand up our waffle.
Absolutely.
Okay.
We have our ladle. We're going to prep our waffle iron. So light spray, and on the top too. And then we're just going to take.
I hear that sizzle.
Ah, yeah. From here. Then we're going to rotate.
Oh, we can do two. Wonderful.
I think everybody's going to want one. And then we just give it a few minutes, and it's going to come out.
So approximately how long should these cook?
Well, with the egg white, they're going to brown quite quickly.
Okay.
So one of the things we're going to do is have them like 3 to 5 minutes.
Okay.
We have it on a setting of about 3.5 for this particular waffle maker. You might have to play with it with your at-home waffle maker, depending on to find the number that you're the happiest with.
So it's possible they could burn quickly if you don't keep your eye on them.
Yeah, you'll hear most waffle makers will alert you either through the light, which we have here.
Okay.
When it comes back on, it's ready to go.
Okay,
And
excellent.
then we'll go from there.
Well, it smells delicious.
So as soon as it beeps, we're ready to go. And what we're going to do is we want a nice, hot, crispy waffle.
Oh, it smells delicious and looks beautiful.
Thank you. So we're going to go from here and take a little bit of our pecan sorghum molasses butter.
Oh, chef, yes. I'm loving this.
We're going to take our chicken. We did finish it in the oven because we didn't want to get too dark in the fryer. So we can grab a piece of chicken.
Ooh. Now, is there any particular way that you have to situate these chicken? Can I do 2 large pieces, or do you generally do a small piece and a large piece?
Whatever you want. It depends on, you can do a half a chicken. You can do it however you want. And then the final step is take our hot honey and just drizzle that over top.
Oh, yes. I love that.
Chef,
Oh,
Eric,
that-
can I use the other syrups instead of honey?
Yeah, anything that will absorb the capsicum from the, so, you know, any of the sugar. So
Right.
maple, so you can make a hot maple syrup.
Oh, yeah, okay.
This looks wonderful. I absolutely love it. I can't wait to dig in.
Enjoy.
We hope you enjoyed this recipe as much as we did. I want to thank our special guests for being here with us today. If you want this recipe and more, check it out below this video and be sure to like us and follow us on social media. And by the way, if you tried out this recipe, be sure to let us know how it turned out in the comments below. And if there's a recipe or an ingredient you would like to see in future episodes, be sure to let us know in the comments below. Until then, enjoy these recipes and happy cooking.